Hi, my name is Galen J Byrnside. Welcome to another episode of the Get Your Life series. Today, we are honoring Larisha. She is not only a survivor of domestic violence, but she is also a survivor of rape. Stay tuned to hear her amazing story from everything that she's been through to everything that she's doing now. I look forward to seeing her and I look forward to y'all seeing her interview. Thank you. What's one of your favorite ways to relax and unwind after a long day?
Hmm. After a long day, I really like to do nothing. um, I used to like to play Candy Crush all the time after work, and they swipe your tears away or swipe your stress away. It helps me kind of like decompress when I get off of a long day, like just focusing in. And then shopping online gets me in trouble, but for some reason going through the options of different clothes and things like that really helped me to kind of relax and not get overwhelmed. Anything opposite from what I'm doing.
What's one of your favorite scriptures and why?
My favorite scripture is Revelations 3 and 8. God opens a door that no man can shut. And I think I know for a fact the reason why I really love it is because it's an entrepreneurial um, scripture. Like what's meant for you is meant for you. And if he opens a door, it doesn't matter what comes your way. No one's going to stop you from going through that door. And if it's meant for you to go through it, then God is going to make provisions for you to go through it successfully and provide you with all the resources to do it. And it's not going to be easy, but definitely it's one of my favorite scriptures because of that.
What's a fun fact about you that most people might not know?
Let's see. You know, one is I like to watch old things. I really like it gets on everybody that I know's nerves when they hear I'm watching a particular show. For example, Supernatural. Okay. I've watched all 15 seasons, I think 10 total times back to back. And I could actually have it like playing. That's the only Caucasian guy I would ever like really want to like date outside of my guy that I'm dating right now. Dean Winchester. And then right after that, I watch Judge Judy every night. So like, she's 80 years old. She's a brand ambassador for Elf Beauty, and she is hilarious. She has a new court show called Judy Justice with her granddaughter that she's a host on there with, and so a lot of people may not know that I like to be repetitive, and watch things like that. It helps with my memory to watch things or to do things over and over again.
Who is someone that inspires you and why?
I only get to pick one person. Oh, let's see. I would say my baby sister, Erin Nicole. She's 5 years younger than me, but she is one of the most. She's my best friend. She's my soulmate. She is the most resilient, hardworking, beautiful person I know. I've seen her overcome so many challenges, go to grad school and graduate with a 4.0, um, and go 2 years being unemployed almost, and then had to work through a temporary service and still kept her head held up high. She's such an encourager, and I want to be like her when I grow up. She's so faithful. Like she prays. She ain't. She's not about business, and she holds me accountable. So that's what really inspires me about her because she don't care if it hurt my feelings or not. She gonna tell me the truth, and she gonna still love me after that. So, Erin, I want to give her her roses because she is someone I look up to, even though she's the baby, even though she tried to tell me what to do all the time.
If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
Hmm. Well, I thought about, and it's still in the States. I always wanted to go to Hawaii. Um, it's- and I know there's multiple islands in that's a part of Hawaii. But even it's just the water for me. It's very tranquil. It's very peaceful. It's so beautiful. And I didn't need a passport to do it. Um, but now I have a passport, so I think I can expand my horizons. I've already been to four different places already this past year, so but I would still want to go to Hawaii.
Are you nervous to tell your story? Yes or no? And why?
No, I am not nervous to tell my story because I feel this is my truth, and no one can put me in a jail I'm already free from. I feel like when you've already been delivered from something or you've healed from something, people can say what they want to say, but they've never walked in my shoes. So they're going to have their opinions, and I'm okay with that. And I'm ready to let people go behind this whole interview. Like I said, in every other interview I've done, I'm willing to embrace people who are wanting to start their healing journey. Um, but I'm more thankful to be free, free enough to be able to talk about it without tears streaming down and not being able to tense up every time I talk about it. So every time I share my story, I get freer and lighter and more open because I could be helping saving someone's life.
Can you share your story with us? How did your relationship with trauma begin? And at what point did you begin to notice the signs?
So I don't think there's a particular point for trauma because I think throughout my whole life I've experienced different levels. So I'll start with um, going into college, being able to want to achieve something, get a degree and being glad to be out the house. I came up in an environment where my parents loved me, but then I was ready to go. Like I just was ready to get out the nest. And I can remember now my dad said, "Don't you want to go to a local school? Like stay around here, get a job?" I'm like, Let me just go ahead and go 4 or 5 hours away." And that's when I enrolled into Wright State University in Fairborn, Ohio. And I was all alone. I had no family there. And I had aspirations of becoming an English teacher, a creative writing English teacher at that time with a minor in business. Um, so trauma for me started in my junior year of college. I think you don't really see the signs of it because now hindsight 2020, there probably were signs of who was really my friend, how did I get here? Would I really be in a room or play cards with people that are older than me, that are seniors in college at this time, and I'm a junior? Would I even be around those people? Um, but it can be so innocent, as I shared before. Like you going into a place of promise, and then everything is shattered. And you make friends along the way, so you think because you don't have any family there, so you connect with whoever seems to be going on the same path as you. We talk about aligning ourselves with a circle of people that are going in the same direction as us, so everybody's there with the same intention: get a degree. I wouldn't say I was the best student, but no type of education or situation would make me feel it was okay for what happened to me. So for weeks at a time, we would play cards with a particular two guys of a particular fraternity, which I won't name because of various reasons. Because I do believe in organization or unity and things like that. But I have a tarnished view of that fraternity ever since then and still now because of the abuse that I received. And it came like a thief in the night. It was something that I didn't expect to happen. And I'll never forget my best friend at that time. Her family member was in town, and I said, "Hey, whatever you do, don't leave me here by myself." I thought we had that. I thought we looked out for each other. I never thought that this would be something I would have to repeat. In fact, still to this day, I hate repeating myself. So um, I think that's something we could talk about later. And just going to the bathroom and coming out and seeing one of those guys gone and asking the other gentleman, "Hey, where'd your friend go?" "Oh, he left." "When your friend left?" I said, "She left?" "Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm just gonna go to my bedroom and I'll be right back." And then we continue playing cards, just two and two. We can play spades together. And unbeknownst to me, the second person was already in my bedroom waiting for me. Okay. And then that person came in from the living room, um, and they proceeded to sexually assault me, rape me at gunpoint, and put out black and mouths on my skin. I kind of think like I'm just trying to survive to get out of here alive. I'm not thinking about the act. I'm not thinking about what they're doing to me in that moment. I'm hoping that they don't kill me. And I can remember glimpses of everything just flashing and flashing over mine. Like, how did I get here? And I was at that point real heavy, like 400 and my highest weight was 435. So, I'm not just some little small little girl that they're throwing around. They use my weight as an advantage as well because I couldn't move as quick or I couldn't do a lot of things that I'm sure that a lot of limber people could do. Um, and it was like super dark. And when they finished doing what they were doing to me, not only did they complete their assignment, but they robbed me, left my front door open, and I just fell to the ground and sat in the corner of my college campus dorm room. And I sat there. I was like, this is not right. I knew then this wasn't right. So I'm going to call the police. Well, back then, that's 97, 98. We're in 2025. So technology, everything is different. So I was always raised if there's a problem, you go to the police. I didn't have a car. So I went to police. I knew where that was. Still no sign of my friend, right? I went to campus police and I told them what happened to me, and they basically made it seem like it was my fault because I knew them. You played cards with them every week, so it was consensual. That is not consensual. Someone taking away something from me in a state of I'm trying to learn something. I'm trying to be accepted. I think that sometimes you get in environments where you want to make friends and you accept certain things. But immediately, if I could say to myself now, like I would told them to told them to leave. Like, hey, well, we can get back up later when my friend comes back, right? I think my whole life started to change from there. So I called my friend, so-called friend, and she made the statement. This is the first time I heard that night. Are you serious? That couldn't happen to you. You're big enough. You could have fought him off. And in my mind, like I'm gonna choke this person out. I'm 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 so angry. I'm so mad. Like really, I'm crying. I'm screaming. Size has nothing to do with somebody violating your personal space and doing something so heinous to you. Didn't have the police tell you it was consensual. And then I called my boyfriend at the time, and he was at home away back in Cleveland, Ohio. And I told him, and he didn't believe me. Again, he said, did that really happen to you? I mean, you could have fought that person off. You could have fought those persons off. And I knew then I was by myself. I knew life was never going to be the same ever again for me from that moment. And they didn't have rape kits. We talk about that now where they're forensics and all that stuff. They didn't have that. I never went to a hospital. I never went to a hospital. I never got checked out. The police didn't even want to do a report because it was campus police. So they didn't ever go to the real police. So I basically had to go through that journey by myself in that moment with multiple layers of trauma, abandonment, betrayal, and everything that I thought. Now my whole life was changing.
You grew up in a loving two-parent household and were the first grandchild to go to college. How did your early years shape your aspirations and view of the world?
You know, my parents, I love them both, and they did all that they could do for us. You know, we grew up. We didn't even know we was poor. My last name is poor. We didn't even know we was poor. Okay. We didn't even know we was poor because my mom always made sure our clothes were clean, our hair was combed, we ate 3 times a day. You know, we didn't know anything different. But people on the outside would see that we were um, middle class or didn't have the J's and the Cortezes back then, you know, those different types of shoes. Then we didn't know. But my mom worked in the salon and she did nails for over 15 years. So we would wait to the end of the salon close to get our hair done after all the clients were done, our nails done. So we looked like we had money because kids our age didn't get their nails and hair done at a young age like that. You know, um, my parents were always grinding. I saw my mother work 3 jobs at one time, and we actually woke her up to put on different uniforms to tell her which job to go to. Um, I saw that my mom worked multiple jobs, and my dad was laid off for years um, from a prominent company that now he's retired from. Um, but she never made him feel less than anything because she went to work every day because she knew in any moment he was going to get another job. So I had aspirations like if my parents can get up and do this and grind office and take and have 3 kids and work every day, what's wrong with me? I'm able bodied. I can work. I can work multiple jobs. So I was excited to get my worker's permit at 15. I was like, hey, let's do it because that's what I saw. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, people who own their own businesses, have long work ethics. So I had aspirations of going to work, having integrity, you know, and getting the job done and coming home. So it was nothing for me to want more because my parents wanted me to want more. They wanted me to want more. So um, it was easy for me to say, what else can I do? And I was a shy person back in the day. So very shy.
Looking back, what do you wish young Larisha knew before stepping into adulthood?
Trust nobody. No, I'm just okay. So I would tell a younger person, Larisha, that love yourself for who you are and where you are. Be confident about yourself. Girl, you got it going on. Don't let nobody try to rain on your parade or steal your shine because they uncomfortable with they self. Be bold, confident, and walk and command the room, young Larisha. Know that you got it going on. If anybody don't like it, tell them to close their eyes or turn their head. I'm okay with it. And I would tell her, girl, they don't like you. That's good. And be loyal to those who um, actually show you in action that they care and love you. Don't get caught up in the money, cars. Don't get caught up in what it looked like aesthetically, but what is the action saying for the long run? Be wiser in your decisions. Be more of a leader at a younger age and not a follower.
How did the abuse impact your daily life, mental health, and sense of self during that time?
Well, I will say I don't think I really identified that it was really bothering me. I think I was just going through the motions at that time, being younger, but it caused me to put up walls. And I think I started to really start to attract certain types of people. And I'm not just talking about in an intimate relationship. I'm talking about friendships too. Like people were leeches. People, I felt sorry for them, or I felt like, okay, I can be around them because we kind of much on the same level, or I'm only dating this guy because I know he has money, or um, I don't want anybody to hold me accountable. I don't want nobody to hold me accountable. So I kind of stay away from people that will hold me accountable. And I pretty much would do whatever I want to do. I remember dating a guy in high school, which uh, which I now know lives an alternative lifestyle, right? But we supposed to go to prom. I don't, but he ended up taking my best friend to prom. Okay, I love you, Alita. I know you probably gonna watch this. We've made up since then, but I would say that was that was traumatic to me as a young person who had desired to go to prom and who was plus size and wanted to go, and then all of a sudden you're turned down 2 days before the prom. Dress, everything picked out. I still went. I danced with everybody else's man, but other than that, my mom made sure I was all the way together. I would say that um, it's very, very important to really know that. Um, Pause. What was I saying? Jesus, they
How
got me caught
did
up on that prom.
how did the abuse impact your daily life, mental health,
Oh,
and sense of self?
well, I didn't love myself clearly. I didn't love myself because I started in high school using drugs and alcohol. My mom used to work for the secretary's office at my high school, and I would forge my mother's name. Forgive me, mom. You already know about this story. Sorry. I would forge my mother's name to leave school early. But because I was such a sweet girl, no one would ever think that I would do that. But I wanted to be in with the cool kids, the ones who had access to the alcohol at a young age and drugs, where we would skip school and come back in enough time to get home, get on the bus to go home. We had down to a science, right? So I know I had really just started to lose my identity because I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be fit in. So I think it just started to deteriorate all during this time, even at a younger age. And you start to feel like, how can I get back to me? And I think I've been struggling with that up until recently. Like, I don't care what nobody think about me. Like literally, perception is everything. I understand, and you have to wear different hats in different arenas. But at this point, my peace of mind is more important than your likes and your dislikes. And I'm willing to cut you off, walk away, and standing on that is more important than me buckling and then going back to the old ways.
What were the challenges you faced in recognizing and admitting to yourself what happened to you?
I thought I could really push it down inside. Um, I thought I could like not deal with the trauma. I was strong enough not to like. I had a bad attitude, you know, real feisty, almost like a bully. And you will become you can become an abuser yourself in different ways by trying to suppress that anger that's inside instead of releasing it, and it will cause effects on your body to do that to yourself. Um, I think that what I've identified is that I want to be able to not go down that path anymore and be more aware and be sensitive enough to say, Larisha, you taking it too far. Or, okay, they laughing too loud. You don't like that. Or when people walk up behind me and I'm not used to their presence, I can jump and I got to automatically explain myself. It's not you. It's the trauma that I've experienced to cause me to have post traumatic stress disorder from that because of how I was assaulted. So it's like leaning going into that is knowing that You have to have the ability to be able to know the difference, be able to press through it. But when you're going through that, you're not thinking about that. You don't want anybody close to you. You don't want anybody to know your business because all you hear is judgy, judgy, judgy. Somebody talking about me. Somebody gonna go tell my business. So you keep it all inside because you don't want to be judged. And growing up in a Christian background, there's certain things as young we just didn't talk about. We didn't talk about whatever. Stay here, stay happen in his house, stay in his house. And what we don't understand is it's levels and levels of generational curses that's on people's lives and household because we won't talk about what happened to Auntie Suzanne and Brother Joe over here. But yet we'll let it happen to generations and generations and generation and then be an after prophet, which plucks my nerves to beyond. Don't come and tell me, oh, I've been through that before. Well, Dag, when you saw the house burning on fire, why didn't you come over with the fire extinguisher? Why are you gonna wait until I get singed up and burnt and I can't even be recognized for you to get up there and then say, "Oh, I could have helped you." So you will put those walls up around yourself to protect yourself because you don't want to be judged by family, friends, definitely family. You don't want to be judged, and then it's almost like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that happened." I've had family members hit me up since I've been going even more freer with speaking about this. Like, what's going on with her? Like, why is she talking about that? Maybe if you talked about some of the stuff that happened in your relationships and situations, maybe you'd be freed up and you can help somebody else and not put up with the same stuff.
Did you feel like you had support or did you feel isolated?
So I think it is a twofold thing. I gotta let you know what's going on with me to get support, right? So there's only a few people I let know that anything that was happening with me: my mother, my sisters, and my dad. And I could tell friends because 9 times out of 10, they ain't gonna talk to my mom or my dad. you know. Um, and if I told a guy I was dating, if we got an argument, they would use that against me. Oh, that's why they did that to you because you said this or how you acted. And oh, that's why they treated you like that. So sometimes people use your past as ammunition to hold you pressed down further, and you can never grow from that because you can never grow or heal because somebody's trying to suppress you and keep you in that place. But I'm trying to be vulnerable because I'm thinking we got something going on here to connect with. So I felt isolated sometimes, but it could be self-isolation. It was for something to protect myself. Like I'd rather keep it to myself than have to explain, well, it happened this what happened. And then I gotta look at their body language and see if they believe me or not, or if they have multiple questions. So now I have to gear my story on how I want to tell it so I can let them know. But let me tell you what I did to overcome this.
You mentioned always being with your best friend and feeling safe in that space. Can you describe the moment when you realized that safety was shattered?
So we talking about my sister, my best friend, or in college? I knew it was broken when she left. I knew she had a problem. And then when we went to work, like a couple days after, she act oblivious, like nothing was popping off. Like what? I still went to work the next day after that trauma. We out in the parking lot at that time, Time Warner Cable, and I wanted to be her. Listen, can't really talk about we don't condone violence, but somebody had to get touched that day because and at the same time I was being preyed on by someone in the far beyond while knowing what happened to me and someone was going to come in and save me supposedly as I was going through that trying to help me see a different side. So when she left me, that was the worst thing I could ever experience. I feel like that was the moment. And how many times have we had people leave us and we feel abandoned? There's so many times in life we felt abandoned, but really, maybe I should have been let her go or let him go. And then I wouldn't have to go through this grief cycle of dealing with this person or this loss of a person if I would have just owned up and said they gotta go.
After the assault, what was going through your mind when you reached out for help and were met with disbelief from campus police?
Oh, how? I mean, you supposed to be here to protect. It's thousands of people on this campus. Like, and I literally said, is it because I'm fat? You don't believe that can happen to me? Is it because I'm black? Because Ohio has a very, very minimal amount of African American people at that college. Okay. There were all black colleges around there, like well before Central. But where I went was like right on the border. So it took funding away from those black colleges. Don't even get me started on that. But I was just like in awe, like I walked away like shieldless. They had a shield, but I walked out with no veil, no covering, and I had to walk back out. It took me courage to walk in there. Now I'm walking out with no courage, now shame, now trauma, now hurt, now pain. I don't even know what to do with my body. And they can see the physical evidence. A friend don't put out black and miles on your body. A friend don't steal and rob you and leave your apartment left open for people to come in. Friends don't do that. And if you got friends that do that, and this they ain't your friend.
The response from the guy you were dating was heartbreaking. How did that moment impact your sense of self worth and trust in people?
I got the screw face because that brother right there, I think one, he was a mama's boy. He's still a mama's boy. Um, I would think that wow, you say you love me, but then you 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 say that to me like I was nothing, and it was okay for you to hang up the phone. Not let me try to get back to you. I will get there as soon as I can. I know it's going to take him some traveling time to get back to where we were because the campus was a ways from where he was at. But what I will say is, I felt like I wasn't in a relationship for him to say that. And you know what the crazy thing is? 10 years later, all right, I'm on a positive journey. See, he couldn't. I was going. I really started to use drugs and alcohol, so he couldn't be Captain Saver, you know, no more. He couldn't pick me up from the place when I was doing X and all cocaine and all those things like that, and he would see me grinding my teeth down. That was a good place for him to see me like that. But when he saw me in a healed place, going in and working out and being positive, he didn't know what to do with himself. He proposed to me on Facebook, okay? Accepted. And do you know I said yes? That's a whole nother level of trauma right there. Somebody who said that to me in college, if I end up engaging, being engaged to that person. So what does that say about me? Do I just want to be married just to be married? It didn't happen because God showed me in a dream that he was cheating still with his ex. And I was correct. God was correct. So we thank God, big ups for God showing the vision. Um, and I pawned that $15,000 ring for 5,000, and you still had to pay the bill. And you're welcome, sir.
You turned to drugs, alcohol, and relationships with women as a way to cope. At that time, did you recognize it as a survival mode or did it feel like something else?
I think let's talk about. Let me just give this disclaimer first before I get people that watch this, which could be judgy. Don't be. Um, I think that what makes me different as a licensed minister is that I know what it is, and I'm empathetic to everybody. Love is love. I know what God's love is, and I know how God wants me to treat people. And in that moment, I thought that was the right thing for me to do because I was so hurt and torn by African American men that I thought that was a safe place. but it wasn't. Actually, it was worse. That relationship was worse. Using drugs, alcohol was a coping mechanism. It filled no void. It was something that could never be filled. Relationships, alcohol, drugs, money don't do anything but fulfill a need temporarily. It numbs you from reality, and then it causes you to want to re up. That's why people, when they get high and they come down, they want to get back up because they don't want to have to deal with the reality of what their raw, authentic emotions are going through, what their body's going through, dealing with the trauma, the hurt, and pain. And I identified that it was a coping mechanism, but also it was just a way to run away from reality. I didn't want to face the music that I wasn't raised like that. I remember my dad coming up to Cleveland, and he would always come. He would never give me money, but he would pay a bill because he ain't gonna put no money in my hand because he knew what I was doing. So that was wisdom, right? He knew at that point that I was using drugs. And I remember I was smoking in my apartment, and he just popped up. He was known for popping up just to make sure I was living, breathing, doing okay. And he was like, "Next time, can you use a different incense? That one stink." And I said, out of everything, not not what I'm doing or whatever. Um, but he always shielded me. And I thought my dad was like super deep, like happy belated birthday. His birthday was yesterday. Um, I would say that I saw a different side of my dad that my siblings didn't get to see because he always he's been a man of few words, but he meant what he said. And I think our relationship grew. It hasn't always been the best of relationships, but in that moment, I saw a different side of my dad. And I remember when I told my dad, "I'm dating women now. Like, this is what I'm doing." And I was in the kitchen at his house, and my stepmother, God rest her soul, she's no longer here. He, we was about to start talking about it, but he said, "Oh, you ready to go order that pizza?" And in that moment, I knew my dad was just like supernatural because he shielded me, he protected me from somebody else hearing it. Because sometimes people, I'm not saying that she would have took that stance, but I knew that in that moment, he was like, "Yeah, let's go order that pizza so we can talk in private about this." And it was just like beautiful that he did that for me to let me know that. And the only thing he said to me was like, "I just pray God heals your heart, heals you, and gets you back to your first love, which is God."
When your father, as a pastor, told you he was sorry that happened, what did that mean to you? Did it provide any comfort?
I don't think my dad even knew how to respond to that. I will say that there's been several instances of trauma in my family. And I think parents respond the best way that they can. I don't know what it is to be a parent of surviving children. I've lost three of my own, right? I think that parents do what I think they do what is best in the parameters that they have and pull on what they know. How can you expect somebody to respond a certain way if they've never been shown that? I think we put too much of a high price tag on any parent to to know all the answers. They're doing the best they can with the arsenal that they're given, and then they're learning from their children as they're growing through. And on the first child, they may make some mistakes, but on the second one, they ain't gonna do the same thing. On the third one, definitely the third child gonna see all the mistakes that was made on the first and the second one. They be like, "Hey, I'm not gonna fool with that," you know. Um, and so it was comfort. Like I said, I think it was the best thing. And my mom too, she was there. I just think that it's hard. I asked her recently after we had a conversation, what did you think about that? Me dating women at that time. And she's like, "I was just trying to understand, how did my daughter get here?" And she was just trying to navigate. Like, I'm 47, so she was in her 30s. So if you think about what is a 30-year-old trying to navigate with three daughters, you know, she's doing the best she can. And I don't hold any resentment or anything towards any of my family members or anybody that may pass judgment. But until you walk in somebody's shoes, you don't know their story because my mom and my dad have experienced trauma that they probably never talked about because it wasn't a safe place. But my parents have made it so I can talk about it and there's no judgment now.
You mentioned tattoos, hair color changes, and other physical transformation. Were these ways of reclaiming your identity, or were they more of a shield?
I think that as an African American woman of color, we can change our hair whenever we want to. I think it's a statement. When a woman cuts their hair off, something's gonna, something about to pop off, or a big change is popping. That's true. Me changing my hair color was a way of I'm gonna do what I want to do. No one's gonna tell me what to do. And I was my barber was making mad money off me because I was going every 5 days. If I saw one hair pop up on the line, I was like, it's time for me to go on over here. And I colored my hair myself, and I was attending Greater Salem, the connecting place off of 5318 Salem Church Road, Bishop Porter. And he identified something when I started going back to all black and a little bit of blonde because he saw me through all those different hair colors. He was like, "You're healing. You're healing in your journey." So he was able. He was never judgmental. I love Bishop Porter. Um, he's so down to earth, so laid back, and he's one of the reasons, one of the main reasons why I went into seminary school because and to become a minister in training and then become a licensed minister under his leadership because of how he handles and he has a love for people. And if you have an indiscretion or something, he doesn't make you feel like you're trash. And I think that's what's missing in the church. Meet people where they are. You miss out on a lot of good people being judgmental. And that's where my heart is there. Like, you judging me and you don't even know me, you know? So I think the tattoos, one, I want to get another tattoo now, but I'm about to be, I think I should probably stop. I'm getting kind of old. I'm going to be no time soon, guy. But when it's my time to go, I'm gonna be tatted up in the coffin. Um, and my sister always sing the song "Tat Tat Tatted Up" every time. I would come home instead of one, I come home with two. Or instead of come home with two, I come home with three. So now we at 28. Like, okay, I need to slow down. So my last two pieces. See right here is the purple ribbon. Then I have the survival, my favorite scripture. And then this is a saying that my pastor at that time, but we say it at my current church because we came from the same churches. I see myself in the future and I like what I see. I do see myself in the future and things are looking better. It meant so much to me in that darkest time when I was changing my hair back. I got it tattooed on my arm. So when I saw my journey, other people saw my journey, that I was coming out of this dark place. I was coming out of that. And I think that people go through that. They shed skin, they shed layers, and it's okay. All we have to do is be empathetic and be available on the journey. Even if we don't even live to see the outcome of, just be available on the journey to be an unjudging, not judging, empathetic, understanding, compassionate listener. And say, hey, I'm gonna meet you here, but if you say you're gonna work on this, I'm gonna hold you accountable to it because you said you want to do this. So after coming to like a stable place or on a journey where you're thinking, you're starting to stabilize and you're going on a journey of rebuilding, you want to get back out there, you know. And so I actually logged on or joined Plenty of Fish. I think that app is still out there. I'm not for sure, but it was out there, and there was a lot of people. It's not as sophisticated as now. There's so many different types of apps for dating because I think it thrusted because of COVID. A lot of people met just to have companionship and things like that. But anyway, I met a gentleman that was charming on Plenty of Fish. There was a successful black man, had businesses, lawn care, had a boat, a house. In his profile, talked about dating. I mean, I'm taking care of his elderly parents. Excuse me. And I'm like, wow, this is a catch, you know? And this is at the age of 39 now. So that's kind of recent, 39. And so I'm thinking, okay, we're going to go on a date. We went to a great restaurant, fine dining, you know, and we drove separately because it was a first date. So you have high hopes. You're in public, it's in the daytime. So as the hours progressed, it started to get darker. He was, oh, I just got a call from my mother. I need to stop by my house. Is that okay? I'm like, okay, well, sure, that'll be fine. So I'm thinking about that, and okay, that checks out. He takes care of his parents. We go up to his house, and sure enough, his mom and dad, elderly, are in the house. They're on the first level when you first walk in the house. And dad was on an oxygen tank. Mom was walking around, but she looked like she was medicated. Okay. And he was like, well, you can just go up to the theater room upstairs while, give them their meds, privacy. I said, okay. So we walked up there together, and he showed me where, hey, here's the TV. And he put on the movie Jaws. Okay. It's important. He had his own hookah, he had his own bar, all this stuff up there. It was really, really nice, beautiful home. He's like, hey, I'm going to go take care of them. I'll be back up. Hey, make yourself at home. So my phone, it was an Android, wasn't charging like it was supposed to. And so I said, do you have a charging port? He was like, yeah, right over there. So I plugged my phone in. And I sat back over on in one of the theater seats. So I didn't think nothing about it. So I'm over there. He kept on trying to get me to drink something. And I was like, man, we all the way out here almost near Lake Norman. I said, I'm not drinking nothing, right? Because I got to drive myself home, right? And I don't know him. I'm not that type of girl. I'm not going to get up there and just, at one point, I was that type of girl, just be honest. But I wasn't the type of girl. I moved on from that lifestyle, right? First date should be something like you shouldn't have any expectations. It should be getting to know someone. And I'm thinking, his parents is downstairs, so ain't nothing popping off. So we started watching the movie. He kept on turning up the volume on the movie, and I was like, "It's not loud. Ain't you gonna wake your parents up?" He said, "No, this is the theater room, so it's soundproof." I didn't even recognize or acknowledge that there was soundproofing on the walls, like a studio to block out noise. Okay, so I noticed that my phone was uncharged or unplugged. I'm like, what the heck? I just plugged it in. I ain't going crazy. So I plugged it back in. And so he went downstairs. He came back, but he stopped and he unplugged it. I was like, hey, yo, why you keep on unplugging my phone? He was like, oh, I think it's the cord. I was like, no, listen, I need my charger the phone, because I need directions to get back home. So that's when I proceeded. He turned up the TV again, and then I got up and said, look, I'm gonna plug it back in and maybe hold it over there. And then my whole life changed. At that time, that's when he pushed my face down into that couch and he raped me. He turned up the music or the movie Jaws, which I cannot stand Jaws to this day. He raped me and kept and raped me, and it was so loud. And I was just saying, "Let me just get through it." I just kept on screaming, "Let me just get through it. Finish, 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 finish. Just hurry up. Finish, finish." And just trying to make it out again. And yes, I was like, I started to have flashbacks of my previous encounter years ago because of that happening. So I got up. Um, he said, well, here's a towel. Here's a washcloth. You can go downstairs and take a shower. I said, and my mom like, I ain't taking no shower. So that clicked off into me from college. Like, nah, times has it changed? I'm not going to go out there right. And he was trying to force me to take a shower. And when I walked down the steps, his mother was at the bottom of the steps. And I had tears coming down my face. She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "I will be. I will be okay. I will be okay." She said, "I'm sorry. My son is sick." I said, all I could do was look at her like, and I'm running through my mind like, he done did this before. And that's why he got his parents medicated. That's why. I didn't even wait for him to come down the steps. I got in my car and I drove so fast. And one of the first people I called, one was my sister Erin, but I told her, no, everything's okay. So she said, she already knew I was probably lying. So I called my pastor and I told him that day. He said, "Get home. Get home. I'm so sorry. Get home. Get home." I said, "Please don't tell anybody. Please, I shouldn't have been out here." He was like, "Reshia, get home." I drove all the way home and I got in my car, tried to get myself together, come to steps. And I didn't know my shirt was ripped, that I was bruised, that there was blood. I didn't know any of this happened because I was just I was in fight or flight kind of situation. And when I was coming up the steps, my neighbor, God bless him, Sean, he saw me. He's like, "Hey, Larisha, what's going on with you?" I said, "What you mean? What's going on with me?" I said, "Nothing. Nothing's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with me." And then sure enough, he was like, "No, something's wrong with you." And then we got into my apartment and I just fell to the ground and I just started crying. He said, "You got to tell your mom." And I said, "I can't. How did this happen to me again?" You know, and that process right there is a trip. When you start talking about now what's the process, now that you got your mother who is older, you're older, and now you're going to go through the process that is supposed to be with resources available to you through the city that you live in. What does that look like?
The experience with the man from Plenty of Fish was another devastating betrayal. Did anything about that situation trigger memories of your first assault before it happened?
Why am I at this person? Why am I alone with this person? Why did I even go back to his house? First of all, I was at my own house. So I just drove into danger. That's what I'm thinking about myself. That was one of the signs like, come on, Maurice, you should like, well, I'll check you later. Go ahead and take care of your parents. And if that was the case, then we would have got up another time. Who's to say the assault would not have still happened? But I could have changed the when it happened, maybe to bring more awareness to myself. Um, I think it also identified for me, I gotta do whatever I gotta do to make it out alive. And it kind of pisses me off when people say, "I would never do that. I would never be in that situation." Don't tell me what you won't do. Ha! When your life is on the line. Don't tell me where you won't go. If it meant for you to go save your child or a loved one, don't tell me that you won't make risky decisions to help somebody, to give your last. I've seen my mother give her last to help me. And I was using drugs and I was doing things and I was throwing away money. Paying, she was helping me pay my rent and I was addicted to drugs. There's no way. Her way of expression, she gave her last and took away from my sisters who were younger than me and they had to eat oatmeal every day while I'm using drugs to the point where you feel like you're overcompensating because you made so many bad decisions. Like, God, why? Why? How can you use me? How can you use me? I'm just a filthy rag, God. How can you use me to help other people when I made so many poor decisions? And then God had to help me. Why not you? Why not you? So when I see somebody offering up their last And then I know they're doing the best that they can with the resources that they have. How dare we have someone tell you, I would never do that. Even going into these different places and teaching and sharing about domestic violence and healthy relationships, I would just knock him out. No, men were created automatically from creation to be stronger than women. I don't care what your lifestyle is. Men are created to be stronger than women. And when it comes to that moment, no matter what size, what demographic, where you come from, what race, nationality, you will do whatever it takes. And some people are able to fight back. I didn't have that chance. Now it'd be a total different story. So I think, because I don't know what I would do in that situation if that was to occur again. And am I willing to risk it all, my future? Am I willing to risk it all to go to jail or to suffer with the trauma again? Don't tell me what you won't do.
After this incident, was this the turning point for you where you decided enough was enough?
I, you know, I started working out. I need to start working back out again. This hold me accountable. This video. Um, and I think that's part of the trauma too. You'll start to pad yourself in a comfort zone where it's safe because you know that you know that. So whether it's I'm not doing drugs, I'm not doing alcohol, but I can go order me something to eat. I'm not doing drugs, illegal drugs, but I can take anxiety pills. You know, um, I would say for me, I would. What was the question? 'Cause I'm about
What was the turning point for you where you decided enough was enough?
I didn't want to do it no more. I was losing teeth behind them drugs. Um, and my mom made sure we went to the dentist, my dad. But I don't care what anybody says, if you don't take care of yourself, it will start wearing and tearing on your body. I think after I had two strokes after that last incident with the guy off of POF, I had two strokes at the age of 39. And I had to learn how to use my left hand all over again. And then I asked God to restore my memory. That's why I love names and learning people's first and last names because I asked God to restore that my memory back from all the drugs and stuff that I would do. And people are like, how do you remember people that God gave that to me? Because I know I shouldn't have a brain cell left. I shouldn't be able to have be in my right mind. I should be dead and gone. I shouldn't even be able to live to see 47. But there has to be some reason to say, because I let you be able to survive that, that's my turning point. You got to help somebody else. I think the actual affliction and Pastor Scott Cunningham just preached about this Sunday. We had to go through some afflictions so we can look at God, experience God a different way, to look at our circumstance a different way, right? And I believe now, if I went through those things to help other people, and I'm proud that I'm able to do that because someone's not bold enough to speak up about it and hold their head up high and their shoulders back, you know. And so someone has to be the voice for someone in the boardroom or in the classroom, in the family, who's willing to take the blows. And I believe that's just my destiny and my purpose now. I didn't know what that was until September 12th, 2024, when I was let go from my job from Charter Communications. And I think I slept on my destiny. I was in the ceiling at that job where I couldn't really help those that I really wanted to help the way I wanted to. And now God has just blown that ceiling off. He's knocked down the walls. So now I can help people and I have no restrictions. I can get the additional training and I don't have to be guarded by what I say. I can show compassion. I can give somebody a hug. I can let people know that they matter and that we can get through this together. And if I never see them again, they'll at least experience kindness from me. They'll experience a listening ear and that, hey, I still struggle too. I'm still triggered. I still have to love on myself. I still have to care of myself. And sometimes it's easy for people who have been in domestic violence to get back in those relationships because we're so used to the cycle that we'll find ourselves falling right back in it. And then we're like, oh, wait. And then when we knee jerk upon it, now we've got involved other people in it, other people in our relationships when we wasn't ready to move on.
We're going to give Larisha a break and we will be right back. We're back and we're going to continue the interview. His mother acknowledged something was wrong. Do you think she had been covering for him in the past?
Hell yeah. I don't think she knew that. I don't think she knew until she started. I think it was a pattern that she saw. And then I wonder, why did she choose me to stand up for me? And to know that her son was sick, how could she sleep at night? But then maybe she was asleep because she was induced by medicine. So we need to talk about elder care abuse. Talk about that. And what was probably happening to them, because they couldn't stand up to him, or, I think them being older, they kind of they're in their latter years, so someone had to take care of them. So they're not gonna buck up against, somebody who's probably taking care of them financially and a place to stay and things like that. Um, and she stood up for me by when I went to court and I filed against him, to get a actual protective order um first, and then went to court. They only gave him 8 years. Now this is 2025. That was when I was 39. So it's exactly 8 years, right? He out. And that whole process of knowing that it was almost 10 women he did that to. You didn't hear about that in Charlotte, North Carolina, on the news, in the paper. I didn't hear nothing about it. And it really makes me sick to my stomach to know that things like that in the community are just brushed under the rug.
The justice system gave him only 8 years. What are your thoughts on how society and the courts handle sexual violence?
It ain't long enough. It's exactly 8 years this year. So now I have to kind of think, has this person been thinking about me all those 8 years and what they're going to do to me? You know, um, I think the justice system needs to tighten up for men and women's rights, children's rights when it comes to domestic violence, but also in places of color. Um, Not everybody has the thick skin to go through that process. Um, it starts off at the hospital. When you're at the hospital, then someone comes in, they'll give you an advocate, they'll come in from Safe Alliance, and you have a choice to let them sit there and tell your story so many times. It's almost like they're fact checking to see if you're telling the truth. And then my mom was sitting with me at that time. And by that time, I said, Mom, just step out the room. I had already told the story 5 times before I even got to the advocate that was in there. And I could just see my mom getting paler and paler, like she's about to pass out. And I was just like, Mom, it's time for you to leave up out of here. Let me just go through this process again by myself intentionally to protect her because I don't know what it can cause for her health, you know. And then going through that process of going to say, first of all, it's a maze to get down there, uptown. No one likes going uptown because of the parking. One, two. I know Charlotte Mecklenburg County is in the process of building a new location. I'm excited because it'll be a central location where people can come and handle their business, and you don't have to say the story over and over again. So I think that's my biggest complaint. After I found the location, I had to repeat my story over and over again before I could even get assistance. a court liaison. I had to repeat it over too. I had to do an intake. So by this time, I'm exhausted. Your meter done ran out. So you better believe you got to take when you got out there. And then on top of that, it's to the point where it's not private. You're telling a story in a room, and next to it is other offices. And I know the new places are probably going to be very, very updated, and maybe it's been updated in the past 8 years. Thank God I haven't had to use it. And that, but now, what is the recursive protection for people who are out? What's the next steps? Like, what should be is there a notification that's going to come to me? Because I've just been watching the calendar. So, is there a process for people who are released, for people to know, hey, just to be aware, you may want to, what's the aftercare for people, even if it's 1 year, if it's, what is the next steps, and who can I count on? And yes, I have God on my side, and you be careful and all these things, but the human of you is your concern. And you want to be able to go to the grocery store or wherever and not worry about someone being angered that you put them away. Now, they could have been rehabilitated, right? And we know they can be on the offenders list for 25 years. That stops them from employment, does not stop them from doing it again.
We understand and respect that domestic violence affects individuals of all races and backgrounds, and every survivor story is important. Our intention is not to diminish any experiences, but to highlight the broader spectrum of those affected. As a woman of color, how do you perceive the predominant portrayal of domestic violence survivors as Caucasian females? Do you believe this impacts the experiences of other women of color or other marginalized groups in being taken seriously?
First of all, domestic violence being highlighted only to get some attraction for it to only be Caucasian is crazy. It's crazy because there's so many people, all different ages, and like you said, all different nationalities that experience it, and it's brushed off. It's brushed off. And then it makes it is that you don't have any safe, you don't feel safe, and you don't trust anyone with the ability to provide you help. So if I'm not light enough, I ain't gonna get help. Or why is there only funding? I did not know until I started volunteering that I could get trauma counseling no matter if my event was years ago for free until I started volunteering. How many people know that? From the age of 2 years old, even children who see people who have been in their parents have been domestic can get counseling at the age of 2. I didn't know that until now. And I'm talking about free. This don't cost me a dime. But where's the information that's going to be put out for everyone to know that this is available and it's okay to talk through and gain a strategy to deal through trauma, to get the support and counseling that you need? Who knows about the Ellis Scarborough location? Who knows about the Valerie location? Who knows about that? Unless you volunteer. You will not know what's free until you, because it's not free for us to know. And a lot of people don't have resources to go out and get certain things. So we have to take it to them, or it has to be introduced through schools, or has to be and not every job is talking about, hey, if you need support, call Safe Alliance. But if Safe Alliance is telling you getting free counseling? No, I'm telling you no. It's available, the advocate line. There's different things and resources they have, because not everything is. I'm not tearing down Safe Alliance because it helped me through a traumatic part, but it can be refined, it can be enhanced, and it can be to the point where it affects, the information can positively affect all nationalities. Everybody should be able to have the same opportunity as the next person. So recently we did a recording for Mecklenburg County for community social services um, for the Speakers Bureau, and recently, and we noticed that all four speakers were all four different nationalities. So I'm excited for those videos to come out on the Mecklenburg website and on YouTube because it's going to show someone who's Caucasian, Hispanic, Black, and of Asian descent. So it's going to be multicultural, so people can see, hey, if there was help for them, there's help for me. So I think we're going to be breaking those walls down in the next upcoming weeks to shed some light on that. That we do need to bring more attention to everyone what's available.
What did seminary school teach you, not just as a minister, but as a survivor?
Well, first of all, nobody's running to be no minister. I can tell you that. Okay. My dad's a pastor. Both my grandfathers are pastors. I come from a lineage of pastors. Um, grew up in the church, so nobody's running. I think I ran away the most because nobody just you don't want to yield to like come on God really me you know I learned that God can use anybody. That's the first thing. I learned that if He could use me with my jacked up stuff and stuff I'm still dealing with and how I'm still a work in progress, my God, he's a good God. Our going through seminary school taught me that I can finish something because I didn't finish my degree in college because of that sexual assault. So when I finished ministering training and becoming a licensed minister, I completed something. And it was like the biggest deal because I completed something. So, it's very important that people know that, you know, that's just a title, but people don't know what comes with the mantle of the title. Like if you're a therapist and you're a life coach, people don't understand the weight you carry. Being a mom, being a dad, they don't understand. They want that, but do they want the weight that come along with it? So for me, I don't like being a hypocrite. So I tell people, hey, I ain't perfect. So go ahead and do what you're gonna do. I'm not judging you, but hey, just know if it's in my presence, I'm not gonna say, okay, is there a reason why you're doing this? Or is everything okay? Before I just jump in and tell you what you should be doing, because God is not like that. And it presents me hope. If God could do it for me, He could do it for somebody else. And all He wants us to do is to show love. And guess what? I had to forgive those who sexually assaulted me for me to be free. So even from college, I can talk about it now and I can be passionate, but I'm not broken down like I was when it first happened. So it provided me hope to be able to navigate through it. And every time I share what's going on, I feel freer. I feel light as a feather. I feel like liberated every time I can be able to, share my voice on this because I know that's what I was called to do. And you don't have to be in a pulpit to share God's goodness. You don't have to be on a stage to show how good He's been to you and how He has brought you out of different ways, and how He saved you countless times from seen and unseen dangers. Um, and you don't even deserve to be here, but you're here. So being a minister is hope. It's unconditional love. And I think that's why I love outreach the most, is because I meet people where they are. So I think me having tattoos, me having piercings, I let closed up on my nose. um, I'm relatable. And I think that people can respect that you ain't super deep and super weak. You get up here and go to church, you act like you all that, and you can't, it ain't about quoting scriptures, it's what you do and how you apply it to your life and how you help people. That's what God is about. It's not about how well you know where to find stuff and how good you can look on Sunday but how are you living outside of that? And if you make a mistake, are you willing to be convicted to say, I made a mistake?
After everything you've been through, you've reclaimed your power, found your voice, and built a life rooted in purpose. Looking at where you are today, What does healing and victory look like for you? What are you working on now? And how are you using your journey to inspire and uplift others?
Where do I begin? Well, how do I inspire other people with what I'm doing now? Um, when I lost my job at the corporate location, um, I was able to volunteer and actually took the Domestic Violence Speakers Bureau training and met a great group of women, instructors, and I knew that's where I needed to be. I was able to really define my voice, and I felt like I've been doing it for years. I think that we're automatically groomed for certain things your whole life. And then when you finally get there, it feels like home. All the stuff that you have went through and you would not think it made any sense, but now it makes complete sense. So being able to now advocate and be able to speak to different audiences um, and help people be able to say it's going to be okay, let's work through this, is been the biggest joy. Now what I'm doing now is working with Mecklenburg County and as a social services specialist, um, and also going into the various schools under the organization of Love Speaks Out, where we teach teen dating violence and awareness for various age demographics. We also speak to different employees in Mecklenburg County or anyone who really wants to hear this on how we can bring awareness to it. And what I've seen is that we have made so many positive impacts from going into the various schools. CMS has been very open to allowing us to come in and share this with children. I've seen people's lives change. I've seen networks be built between young people as a support system, people coming forward who have real life experiences of this is happening right now. Um, and they're so young. So if I'm able to go in and help and share part of my story and then guide them in that, that I can stop it, help maybe help even curb it or prevent it from happening to them, or stop it to bring awareness so they can say, hey, I need help now. What I'm also working on is a book. And I'm working on actually two books at the same time. One is going to be outlining my survivor story, but how I'm thriving and how to build confidence. And then I'm actually doing a prayer book. The name of it is Hood Prayers. And it's going to be all that and then some. It's realistic, authentic prayers. And it's going to be a series because there's no way that I could put all the different types of prayer in one book. So it's going to be part one, part two, part three, or wherever God leads me to do so. But it's a collective of prayers for real life situations, and I know people think everybody pray like, oh, thee, thou, this, Lord. Nah, sometimes you got to be able to say, God, here I am again. It's me, me be where I'm at, God. Help me to be able to be the best version of me. But Lord, so and so ain't good for me. So help remove XYZ from me. Lord, I want to stop drinking. Help me not be able to go into the ABC store. These is real things we need to talk about because they're coping mechanisms to keep us from our real goal and our real destiny. So if we talk about those different types of prayers, I think it's going to be uplifting. Um, I'm going to continue modeling, which I forgot to mention that. Um, but just body positive movement as I get my body together. I'm going to embrace um, where I am, um, but in order to be able to maintain and get ready for the journey that I'm going to be able to impact people positively, I need to have a healthier outlook, and be able to have the stamina and the resilience to be able to bounce back right away and to get back out in the field, and to help other people. A word of encouragement.
Yeah, we good. Oh, go ahead. Okay.
I want to give a word of encouragement to whoever is watching this. Don't give up on yourself. Don't let anybody dictate or determine how you tell your story. You're freer when you write it down, screaming at the top of the mountain. It does not matter. Get it out. Seek counseling. Um, Pray and be positive and love yourself because it starts with you. How can we expect for others to love us if we don't love ourselves? So I encourage you to say, I love you to yourself, to make sure that you're genuine in your connections. And if it's not going where you want to go or where you want to see yourself in the next 5 years, it's okay to walk away with integrity. It's okay to walk away with grace and to bow out because it's for your peace. Don't let any man, woman, um, any situation stop you from being the best version of you. So I'm speaking to myself like I'm speaking to you. We have to hold each other accountable. Get you a friend who's going to hold you accountable to where you're going. And you can be that friend that can tell people that you don't deserve that and that you deserve a good relationship, a healthy relationship with communication and boundaries and love that's going to help you catapult into the next season of your life. And if it's not going to do that, guess what? You can be by yourself until God brings someone into your life that's going to be just for you because we were created not to be by ourselves. So I just want to encourage every woman, every man, every person that's watching this, don't be judgy of those people who are coming out of trauma. They may even go back to that person. They may hold on to that thread. But guess what? They will have the moment when enough is enough. As long as you are there to be empathetic, let them know that you are there to support them in their journey. That's what that person wants to know. And just to be ready with open arms to receive them, to be able to say, I got your back.
As we wrap up this powerful and emotional journey, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made this project possible. First, a huge thank you to James, CEO of Goofy Entertainment, our talented videographer, for capturing these important stories with such care and professionalism. A special thank you to Bree Simone of The Brit Styles and Murphy of Murphy's Cuts for your incredible work on my hair and face. Boop. A special thank you to Tamika Lassane of Level Up Hair Salon for your exceptional makeup and hair skills, making our survivor feel pampered and valued. To everyone who tuned in to watch this, thank you for your time and your attention. Your support in sharing and acknowledging these stories is vital in our mission to change the narrative and provide inclusive support for all survivors of domestic violence. To Larisha, thank you so much for telling your story. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you.